This is a anti-war, I'm very anti-war. It's black and red. The red is blood and the black is death. And if you examine the pieces, they're all different, and they're out of shape, and they're out of text. You know, they're not the same equally on both sides. And the idea of that is when someone drops a bomb, they don't just drop it on men; they drop it on all shapes, children, orphans, everybody that's down below. So they don't know what they're picking out, and that's where the shapes are different, because they're picking out everybody. It's not just one fighting soldiers. When the bomb falls, just doesn't say, "Oh, I'll move over there and catch soldiers." Everybody gets killed. That's what it's about. And the man on the top, it's the scavenger board, because he's not anything. He's bits and pieces. He's a scavenger. So the fellow who's coming to do peace with his briefcase, right? He's not bringing a laurel wreath in his briefcase. He's bringing barbed wire. He's bringing barbed wire, like what he done in Vietnam when the French left. He wouldn't let it unify. So then we had a war to unify the country, and we have a war in Korea to unify the country, and we have a war everywhere to unify the country. You know, well, if these fellas had went out and sat down and did it right, that they weren't making. You see, they have to win, but if they lose or not, they have to win. The victor, you know. They cannot be seen to be losing. They have to win it. So that's why they do these things. And that's why the barbed wire is in his mouth. It's not a lottery, it's barbed wire. Right? And the dog on the end is, when the husband is killed, if he's not an officer, not one of the ruling classes, she generally has to depend upon someone to give her money, some charity, because they don't get enough money to live on with the kids and so forth, etc. So that's like urinating on his grave, and that's why the dog is there. They don't support the widows afterwards properly, the way the husband would have if he had been alive. Don't forget, he gave his life. He gave everything. You can't give anything more to a country than your life. And then what happens? Men go to war to gain fame and fortune, in a sense. And women go to hell to raise this family. That's what it is. And I started that poll when Reagan and Gorbachev, or Gorbachev in Iceland? In Iceland, for the treaty for the proliferation of nuclear arms. They sat down in there and they decided to have a treaty with one another. The Cold War was over. And the poem goes, "In the land of the midnight sun, two old men get set to play the game of war. As the ground trembles with the sound of jackboots and religious rhetoric, old men sharpen swords to play a game they'll never take part in. And young men will march to pomp and ceremony and have their lives torn from them in some barren, bleak wasteland, as easy as a little boy tears the wings from his butterfly. While they sit on the fence, old men sit on the fence speaking about peace, but they are like someone who's obese and will not move the comfort of their armchair, as the curtains of the temples are torn from top to bottom, and religious hatred is planted in the minds of the young and the vulnerable in the name of God." And that's what it is. And I wrote that way when they were in Iceland. It's happening now again. It never changes. Old men saying this and that, you know what I mean? And the young people going out. Do you know, when the Vietnam War was on, the word in America was, if you have to go, you don't have to go. So that's why I done that, James. That was done that. And all the things I do have to have a meaning and something to do with things. I just don't do things for nothing, because I don't sell them, right? As such, I do sell a lot of bronzes, but not this type of stuff. And this stuff is more important than the other stuff.
And could you talk to me about the dog, about how you made?
Well, the dog is made out of scrap metal again. He's all bits and pieces of tin that I put together, and as I say, bolts in his eyes, a washer and a bolt, right? And that's the idea of it. He's urinating against the tree. He urinates against the monument. As I say, when the women have to beg to get money to pay the children, that's like urinating on his grave. That's what that symbol is. He has a jagged appearance because he's a whatever he is, you know. He's not a proper dog. He's a wolf dog and everything else you can think of. He has that viciousness in him. because that's what happens. They don't care. They don't care as long as the ruling classes, as long as the ruling classes have their money and get away with it. You know, that's what it's about. And the poor never come out of it on top. The officers only come out on top. The fathers don't come out on top. The ordinary men don't come out on top. People thought they were all pieces on top of one another. They're not. I made it that way so as it looks like it's put on top of, one is put on top of the other.
It's all one piece of wood.
It's not one piece of wood. That came out of the merchant's warehouse. When they were pulling down the merchant's warehouse, I asked the fella for a piece of wood, get me a good piece of wood. And that wound up in the garden. Not like that, I mean. A solid piece of wood. And I took it inside and carved it. Because my wife wasn't too, Lord rest her, she wasn't too happy with the thing coming through the house. Foreman carrying that through the house out to the back, you know. She wasn't too happy with that, but...
So it's work that you've been working away on this for a long time.
Yes, I was working on it for good. Took me a good number of times to do that because I enjoy doing it, and then when I get to something like that, I like to go at it, and that's the whole, you know, that's the whole. I like doing that type of thing. I like doing long things, you know. I'd rather do scrap metal than bronzes, actually, because I do 100%. In the bronzes, I make the waxes and I give it to the foundry, and the foundry does the rest, you know. I used to get them back raw, and I used to clean them all up, but I'm too old for that now, you know. So, but I mean, I like to do because all artists do that. You send the waxes in and do it. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to have 100% doing the thing, you know. I mean, with the things nowadays, with the computers nowadays, you can send in a piece that's 4 inches tall and get it made to any size you want on a computer. Well, I would scale it up myself when I was younger, you know. So I'm happy with that piece.
Does it have a title? Does it have a title?
Yeah, War Memorial, Anti-War Memorial. It's an anti-war memorial.
So that's an anti-war memorial?
Yeah, like when I was carving that, a fella said to me, came into the studio, into my house, the work studio. He said, that's effable going nowhere. I said, it's not supposed to go anywhere, such shapes, you know. I said, it's not supposed to go, it's supposed to be a war memorial. Jeez, that's going nowhere. He said, I said, of course it shouldn't be going anywhere. War is ridiculous. And that's what I've done. As you can see, you think they're all pieces one on top of the other. They're not. They're all one piece of timber carved all the way up.